You have 3 minutes to give your introduction, your platform, while you're on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a longtime resident of Los Angeles. I've lived in the Baldwin Hills area for many years. I watched about 15 years ago, they were laying these big pipes all along Rodeo Road and Jefferson. And just before that, they had announced, the city council had announced their intent to begin what was called, they turned the toilet to tap. And that turned a lot of people off, and they quietly dismissed it. We didn't hear anything about it. But then I saw these pipes being laid. And then about early 2013, I had a patient come into the office who was accompanied by 2 of his administrators. And I did ask the question. I said, in South Los Angeles, are we on the toilet to tap system? And they laughed, and then they said yes. What I found in my research, because the LA Times somehow didn't believe it, they kind of said, we depend upon the Department of Water and Power. They don't agree with you. They said that you're not telling the truth. And so I did a little research, and I found that it's the Jensen Water Reclamation Plant by name. They not only supply water now to South Los Angeles, but that has been expanded, I think starting about 2013, to West LA. And so in West Los Angeles, you're getting the same water that we're getting. I looked, and if you go home real quickly and look for the year ending 2014, there is no annual water analysis report. That's an EPA required report. And up until a few days ago, there was no 2013 report. Looked like they hastily put something together because I had a researcher along with myself looking for those reports, and they only went up until 2012, December of 2012, as of a couple weeks ago. But now some kind of a 2013 report. It says 2000, it'll say 2014, but if you look at the date that it applies to, it ends December of 2013. There's nothing beyond that. So there were no water reports produced for the past 2 years, and for good reason, because basically the water reclamation plant, their intent is to somehow cleanse sewage, sewer water through reverse osmosis. They add chemicals to kind of try to clean it up, and that's only a part. I'm out of time, I know, but that's only, I mean, I'm not a one candidate person as the Times might have had you believe. And I do have evidence now to support that the Department of Water and Power cannot be trusted for anything, and they're under investigation right now. And I have, each of you received a folder. And if you look at the folder, you'll find the evidence that it comes from their own internal auditor, that they are not to be trusted. And I know my time is up.
Yes, you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I really would like to say thank you to the Neighborhood News, Diane especially, and the entire editorial board. What you've been doing for the residents of the area has been tremendous. Without all the information in the articles, you all would not be as well abreast of the issues as you are. And really, I'm so excited to have so many residents here. It makes it easier for me to reach out to you instead of having to actually go and knock on your door. I'm glad that there are so many students here seeing what politics is really about and what good people can do to change the outcome. Government is about serving people, the residents. And somehow I think in the busyness of doing politics, people forgot to listen to people. I'm running because I was a resident who was offended at the lack of response by my city council member here. And I'm here to be that smart person who's going in to make changes. We always ask ourselves, why don't good people run? Because we say, you gotta be a little crazy to run. Because honestly, you do, right, Delaney? And we both will. You know, we're running because we care passionately about changing this district for the better. Small businesses are not thriving in CD10. We make it so difficult that people want to fold or end up folding their business. We need to make business easier. We need to make affordable housing units a priority. No, that does not mean I'm saying public housing projects. I'm saying affordable housing units. When the government gives subsidies communities are to benefit. We in CD10 have had strange things occur where 17.5 million in tax dollars in credit is given to a developer, and without the 96 affordable units that were supposed to come along with it as a community benefit. We've been denied parks. We had monies that were given by the state through Prop 84, and yet where did the money go? Well, we didn't get a park in CD10. We didn't get that brand new park that we were hoping for. We got close to $10 million and no park. There's a lot of inefficiencies. There's a lot of inaction that costs us, the residents, too much. We could have had green space. I'm coming in because I want to do what's right by the residents, everybody. And so I'd be honored to have your vote.
Thank you, Ms. Yu. We're going to roll call the vote. Let's do this one, we'll go to you.
I believe that residents should have access to their elected officials, right? Isn't that what you want? You want us to be accessible to you, for staff to be responsive to you. I was very fortunate. I went to a law school where the dean had an open door policy. That meant students can go and talk to the dean when necessary. I want to have those kind of open hours as well as a city council member. I will go to various parts of the district so that we're not in one area only. I will make myself available for several hours each week to different locations so that people don't need to come into City Hall, because parking in City Hall is really cumbersome, right? And it's expensive, and then you want to take Metro, and then you got to walk 5 blocks. It's not easy. We need to make it easier. We wonder why people are not engaged. Well, because we make it difficult. I'll make it easy. And the staff that I hire, they're going to be responsive because we care to do what's right. I'm hoping that answers your question.
Thank you. Dr. Smith.
Well, I'm from Chicago, and so I would handle things a little differently. There's over 100 precincts that divide up the 10th district. I would appoint precinct captains. So in other words, there would be individuals that live in the areas that would report to me directly. And they, as precinct captains, would be responsible. Right now, you can call in and there's nobody really responsible. But if you have someone who is responsible as a precinct captain would be for his precinct, because believe me, the residents would get to their precinct. If you sneeze, I would know about it if there were precinct captains in place, because it's their job to report any problems that develop within their precincts. I believe that as a city council member, but the whole process there should be more transparency. There should be more access for the press. For instance, if there was more access for the press, I probably wouldn't be running today because toilet to tap wouldn't be an issue. It would be because, for one thing, when we get back to that one issue of water, few things are more important than the water that you drink and the food that you eat. Right now, we don't know what's in the water. I can tell you generally what's in it, which would be everything that is put in the garbage disposal ends up in the sewage system. Everything that is washed from clothing ends up in the sewage system. And any attempts to clean it up to reverse osmosis is a very limited process, in that drug molecules are very small. Any drug that you take by mouth ends up in the toilet from one end or the other, either intact or partially metabolized, as most things are, that is broken down. And so everything is in the water, and reverse osmosis, adding chemicals. There's a process sometimes where they'll even add bacteria. Somehow they're supposed to eat the smaller particles that filter through the micropore filtration, if that makes any sense at all. I don't want to drink, unfortunately I don't have to drink tap water. But there are many people who can't afford bottled water. I have to take a shower in it, and the things I'm talking about, the drugs that are in it, they're absorbed through the skin. And so, for instance, I had there's a student who told me that, well, she was actually an interviewer over at USC, that she has a roommate, came from another place to Los Angeles, took a shower, and shortly thereafter began developing a rash that she couldn't get rid of. And so we know that there are problems in the water. They told the interviewer, USC told me they know there are problems with the water, but they just didn't know how extensive. I didn't know until more recently when I discovered that, yes, it's most of Los Angeles is on the under the water reclamation project plan. And Jensen is the company supplying it, and that is now owned by the Department of Water and Power, as I understand it. Number one would be jobs and business. I think the two go hand in hand. Because right now we're hemorrhaging when it comes to losing businesses, not only from the city, but the state itself. We lose thousands of businesses each year to other states because they have a more business-friendly tax schedule. Right now, if you're in business, you are expected to pay something like 0.75% of your payroll, which can be a sizable amount, thousands and thousands of dollars if you're a larger business especially. Your monthly payroll is paid every quarter. Then on top of that quarter, you're expected to meet your payroll on top of that. If you're a restaurant, restaurants have to pay an additional 10 or 15 permit fees. As a result of that, you have some of the statistics that I think say something like 90% of new restaurant startups go out of business in the first 2 years. So I would propose reducing that tax rate by approximately a third, from 0.575 down to 0.35%. I would propose, and that's for existing businesses. If you're a new business, to act as a magnet for new businesses now come into the state, I would say, hey, you don't pay anything for the first 3 years. And then that gives them a running start. They can get their feet on the ground, and then they would kick in at the lower rate that I just discussed. But to attract new businesses, and along with that, you can't talk about raises unless you talk about tax reductions, because raises on small businesses would put a lot of those businesses right out of business, because many of them are struggling now, just as Grace mentioned. And so we have the two go hand in hand. If you're going to have discussions about raises, we have to have discussions about tax reductions. Okay? And aside from that, like I said, there's the issue of transparency. Nothing can be more important than that. We should know what's going on at City Hall. More and more, there are healthcare issues that are rising, and there's no one downtown who can address those right now. We have the first Ebola-related cases that have come to the country, or to California, I should say, related. I think it wasn't diagnosed, but certainly Ebola-related. Infectious diseases are on the rise. We have an aging population. I believe that we should have our own city Department of Health. I believe we should have our own LA City Health Plan. And those are some changes that I would make. Because for one thing, if we had our own health plan, that would generate business. I mean, that would generate income for the city. Don't be fooled. The insurance companies are in business for a reason. They make tons of money. Even though they're duplicated, I looked in the mid-90s, and there was something like 1,500 insurers and third-party administrators in the state of California alone. But they still made money. And so it's easy to create a more cost-efficient system than we have in place right now. And I believe I'm able, not I believe, but it's already been proven, I have already done that according to Aetna administrators, that is with Aetna Insurance.
That's your time. And I think that's your cell phone going off, so this is a good time to remind everyone to at least put your phones on vibrate or silence them, please. Ms. Yu, same question. What would, if elected, what community and citywide issues would be your top priority, and how would you address them?
The community that I would look after first would be the residents in the district. If the residents don't have a safe environment, then everything else goes downhill from there. The lack of trust in the community just really spirals the entire neighborhood. We say we want better streets, better schools. We say we want all sorts of things, but when we can't even talk to our neighbors, it makes it hard to get anything done. And the reason I talk about that is because residents are the ones that should help come up with a master plan for the area. With this master plan, we can decide what kind of businesses need to be included into the area. We can plan for the appropriate number of housing units. If there's a dash that's needed in the area, we can make that happen as well. We need to plan for our future. Things shouldn't just happen haphazardly. Conditional use permits should not be given to whoever pays the most. It should be following a specific plan. And that's why I say this trust factor and the residents are my first priority. When we get the residents engaged and believing in the city, I think you'll see a huge turnaround. I think when people care about their community, you see things happen. You have such a wonderful neighborhood that hasn't been given the chance to shine. So I was told by an architect how some of the homes along Pico Boulevard are really historic in nature, and yet they're so dilapidated, you wouldn't know that. If we can figure out how to incorporate, the funds to help support new businesses coming in, while at the same time keeping the small business owner safe. So what I'm saying is I don't want new development coming in, and just because it's new, that's the right way to go. I want us to work together to figure out how to keep small business owners in place, as well as bring in new funding to make it happen. And I believe in public-private partnerships. Government is not going to be able to do it alone, but with public-private partnerships, we can make those necessary changes. Thank you for asking this question. I'm happy to answer it. Charter Amendments 1 and 2, I am opposed to them for the following reasons. They say it's to encourage civic participation. That's not the reality. When you have 30, 40 items on a ballot, people do not get to the bottom portion. And the bottom portion, unfortunately, would be the local elections. So we say we want civic participation, greater civic participation. That does not happen from passing Charter 1 or 2. I initially came out in favor of it because I thought, great, here's a way we can consolidate and save the city some money. And we need to save money wherever we can. So that's where I was coming from. And then while being told by some friends, I realized we actually would be agreeing to a contract with the county where we don't even know how much we would be paying. I don't know about you, but I certainly am not going to buy anything that I don't know the price of. The county is currently in the process of developing a new voting system. And the city would be helping to pay for this while we consolidate. And so I look at this and I go, that's not how it works. So for another reason, this is just, I'll just have to say it to you like I am, which is just telling it to you straight. I see this as Herb Wesson putting 17 more months into office for himself. Okay? He wants to run for supervisor. This way he gets to just lead right in by continuing. Look, they don't even know what the county system looks like. And they're doing it now so that he can increase his time in office. If you really care about greater civic participation, then you make it easier for people to come in and talk to you. You make it easier for people to be engaged. I think you also asked a second portion to that, right? What was that second portion?
Your proposal is to increase voter turnout.
I think we can easily increase voter turnout when the city council member is visible to you, is listening to what you have to say. I've gone to high schools as executive director of a small nonprofit, and kids want to know Students want to know what they need to do, how to participate. They ask me the tough questions. Well, how come we don't have new affordable housing units? The answer, because our politician in office right now doesn't care. I care. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make life better for the residents, for everybody, regardless of whatever language they speak at home.
Do you support or oppose Bar Amendments 1 and 2? And why do you believe voter turnout in municipal elections are so low? And what would you propose to do to increase it?
I support them, and the reason I support them is because they would then coincide with the presidential election. And because you have more people coming out just naturally for presidential election than to more or less these thought of it almost as off-season elections, that that would be a good thing. But there are other issues as well. I mean, Herb Wesson, a few months ago, he went on national television, CNN, pretty much bad-mouthing our community, saying that perhaps it would take a financial incentive of some kind, perhaps a lottery, to get us to come out to vote. I believe just transparency, as far as some of his antics, would be enough to bring people out to vote. When I say that, I'm talking about things like underhanded, changing the boundary lines along some kind of lines that he thought that maybe would be more beneficial to keep him in office. That was kept. So I mean, if you were on this side of the 10 freeway, or not the 10 freeway, but this side, let me put it this way: if you're within Diane's paper distribution area, whatever that happens to be, you are very well informed. If you are on the other side, where I live, towards where I live, the paper, if you depend upon the so-called throwaway newspapers, and perhaps that's why they call them throwaway, they don't even know that there is a race, because anytime there's an incumbent running, there's almost no notification of the fact that if you look at those papers, many of them have not even mentioned my name, and to give you an idea. And so it's a matter of being informed. It's a matter of transparency. It's a matter of just being informed of the issues, I believe, that will bring people out to vote. And that was the last part of your question, which was?
You answered it. What to do to increase voter turnout?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe we should have more business parks. I mean, we have parks. We have Kenneth Hahn Park, in that area. We need more business parks. We have, the shopping mall strips. There was a kid, he was about 10 years old, and he asked me, he said, well, Dr. Smith, even if I go to college, where would I work? Well, obviously, you'd have to leave this community. And so I'd like to see the 10th district start to look like some of the other, especially when you go farther west or even farther south, look like those communities as far as job creation. Because along with larger businesses, if we could attract them, will come jobs, and jobs, and with jobs comes, more real empowerment that we can talk about. You're not empowered at all if you're drinking from the sewer, as we all are. So it's almost a waste of time to go to those. How are you empowered if you're drinking sewer water and nobody told you? And once again, the name of the plant is the Jensen plant. And perhaps the interviewers at the LA Times, if they had looked at the last available water report, it says right in there, which is the 2012 report, it says that recycled water is being piped to Central Los Angeles, right there in the 2012, of which you have a copy, because they said I needed evidence, and so the folder I gave you is more like an evidence folder. It's not like a handout that you might normally see, because according to the LA Times, I had no evidence for my claim that recycled water was being pipe to South Los Angeles, but I have news for you, each of you in this room. It's not only South Los Angeles, it's West Los Angeles, it's all over Los Angeles. I mean, Jensen pipes water to South Los Angeles and West Los Angeles, but if you look at the other reports, you have other reclamation plants piping water to other areas of Los Angeles. So sewer water has become quietly big business. And then I read a little further, and it indicated how Jensen is now capable of reclaiming water that is already sent to us. So they're going to recycle it, send it through for a second cycle. Yeah, they're going to be kidding. They just developed that. So we have very serious issues. And if you look at the reason that the Department of Water and Power cannot be trusted, and the LA Times should not have trusted them for their comments, that comes from an internal auditor for the Department of Water and Power, a former internal auditor. He said they cannot be trusted because they're corrupt, and that, therefore the Times really should not have gone to them for anything, especially for the purpose of claiming that I had no evidence for what I was saying. But if they're looking for evidence, the evidence is they're not offered to provide them boxes of evidence, because there's a letter from that investigator who said we can present them with boxes of evidence that the Department of Water and Power is involved in.
Thank you, Dr. Smith.
Okay.
Monsieur,
Thank you.
describe your understanding of the struggles of local small businesses and how you intend to help them and make Mid-City and West Adams communities attractive to positive new businesses and not nuisance properties such as pot shops, liquor stores, and other foreign uses.
Well, I think if the city were to enforce the rules and the laws, it would help with the illegal pot shops in the area. Shutting down illegal businesses that are not in compliance with the law is the first step. And the second step is to really streamline the small business requirements. I'm not saying we forego every regulation. We need some regulation, but we don't want an over-regulation. And when you look at the LA restaurant scene, I was told that we have 26 separate fees that a restaurant owner needs to pay and go through. That seems an awful lot of different regulations. And I'm saying, really, 26? Perhaps we can bring it down to under 10? I'm hoping to make the city business friendly, that you don't have to come back to City Hall numerous times over and over to get a permit. And why is it that the regular citizen who's starting to open up a mom and pop